you people back in the Shire, turn your porch lights off because we're coming home with a trophy.
Hey there, welcome to Sharkcast Pod, a podcast dedicated to the greatest sporting club in the history of the world, the mighty Cronulla Sharks. My name is Sam Shinazzi, an OG from 2015. This is our 10th season of podcasting, and the show is brought to you by Dyson Logistics, the Royal Motor Yacht Club in Port Hacking, and Jason Hawes at Cripps & Cripps Real Estate. Now, some housekeeping. A little bit unwell this week, probably less pods than I planned. Apologies up front. We are hoping to do a preview episode later in the week with a special guest, a fun one. It's TBC. It's probably 70-30, but I have recorded a mailbag episode for today, as well as caught up with a couple of young superstars in the likes of Jesse Ramien and Dan Atkinson. Should say I'm not contagious. I'm tested. Everything's cool. Just something else going on. But enough about me. Let's talk about us. Sharky sitting first. I did pre-record another episode, which I'm going to whack onto this one, and we'll make it all work. But in case you hear some doubling up or anything, that's why. Thanks to everyone who's been listening since day one, and of course, the people we picked up along the way, including in the past few weeks. Really appreciate everyone being in touch. Sharkcastpod@gmail.com. We're on the DMs via social media, and also on YouTube and TikTok if you're not following us there. TikTok's a bit quiet. YouTube, we're trying to build up a little bit, see how that goes. There's only so many hours in the day, unfortunately. Today, though, we've got a mailbag episode. Get through some of your mail. So please stick around, and we'll see what we can come up with. I can tell you, though, that the Sharks have the best attack and defense. How is that possible, you ask? Well, we've scored the most tries and the most points. We have conceded the fewest tries and the fewest points. We have the second most tackle busts, and we're conceding the second fewest line breaks. This is on top of receiving the fewest penalties and second fewest ruck infringements. It's our best start since 1999. And of course, the last time we've been on top of the ladder for 3 weeks was in 2016, between rounds 15 and 21. So certainly going pretty good. Let's, however, get into some of your mail. First up, we've got some correspondence from Paul, and I have to apologise. Paul sent this a couple of weeks ago, and I just missed it, but I don't know why, because it's a really great piece of mail from Paul. He's an OG listener since 2015. He doesn't think he's missed an episode in 9 years, which is pretty cool. I have missed an episode. You haven't. That's awesome. You live away from the Shire, but you rely on Sharkcast Pod for your Sharky news. You took your 6-year-old son to his first game a few weeks ago for the Bulldogs match, which is awesome. And you were sitting in the upper ET, which is awesome. And you've told me next time you are in my vicinity, you're going to say hello, which is great. Can't wait to meet you, Paul. You did want to see if I could give your new power pop band a plug, which I'm happy to do so. Your band is called Penny Deluxe. Penny Deluxe. The first single is called Flying Blind, and it's on all the streaming platforms. And I've had a listen, and it's really cool. So if you like power pop or guitar music, check out Penny Deluxe. He says, keep up the awesome work on the pod. Thanks to the weekly hour of Shark, which makes my work commute bearable. That's from Paul. Paul plays keyboards and sings in Penny Deluxe. Brendan's been in touch, telling me he's coming down to the Tigers game in July. I'll reply to that one, my friend, but thanks for being in touch. Alan has written in about the Trindle saga, as he calls it. To say that he's critical of him is fair. So he doesn't condone the partying in the early hours when you have a training session the next morning. He reminds us the NRL conducts random drug testing and doesn't condone any drug use at all. You asked for my views on the subject. We did cover it extensively last week, Alan, but I mean, my short, sharp view on it is that he's completely in the wrong, but I'm also willing to give him another go. I mean, I'm not going to just hang him out to dry. He made a really bad decision, a lot of them actually, on the one night. My biggest gripe is the drink driving situation, which I spoke about last week, but I don't condone any of it, and I think he needs to learn some lessons and also get some help, and I believe both of those things are happening. He's just about to make his comeback at training, which is great to be surrounded by his friends and colleagues. And he'll be on the sideline for a little while. So if he doesn't learn from this, I don't know if he will. So definitely happy to give him a second chance, though. I can't stress that enough. I know that goes against other people's opinions, and that's fine. That's what opinions are for. Wade says, what a win against Canberra. I was a little nervous without Trindle and then lost all hope when I saw we were wearing the black jerseys. You weren't the only one, Wade, that noted the black jersey. Me, I don't really think about superstitious things like that, except for extreme cases like fluorescent yellow. But yes, I got a few messages before the game about the black. But happy to say that the black got through. You say Nico stood up and was clear man of the match, but Brayley has been outstanding. I am and have always been on Blake Island. I've dug a hole knee deep, jumped into it and concreted myself on that island. Nothing will ever make me want to leave. Blake will go down as our greatest ever number 9. Well, that's a different subject to Blake Island. Regards, Wade. Thanks, man. That's awesome. Look, we're well, a whole bunch of us from this show are on Blake Island. Some not so much, but they're coming around, that's for sure. Better make some room for them. Neil says, it's been an emotional week for the club. I'd like to thank and congratulate our fearless leader and nice guy, Rambo Dale Finucane, for giving everything he had for the Sharks. I'm glad he'll be hanging around in some capacity. As for Tricky Trindle, I know he'll learn from this mistake and be determined to make up for lost time. I'm never confident when we play away from home, but the improvement from that loss at Leichhardt has shown our team is maturing and riding high on some great form. Tall Tom continues to impress. Hard to single anyone out, but Nico had a great game. Everyone did their job, and it's no coincidence that when we complete high and minimise the errors, we can beat anyone. I know doubters are saying, wait till they play Penrith, Storm, Broncos. I say, bring it on, baby. Hope you're well, appreciate and love your Sharkcast. Up, Cronulla Neil. Thanks, Neil. Appreciate you, my friend. Thank you for your support and your correspondence. And I agree with all that. As boring an answer as that is. Boring as a reply as that is. But you're right, the maturity there. We learned that from Leichhardt. Learned not to just walk in and expect to win. Sharks were favourites on Sunday. Let's not beat around the bush there. But man, 40-0, no one really called that one. So, spot on, Neil. Thank you. Hope you're good. John says, what a great win, dismantling and demolition of Canberra. Calm and methodical, never in doubt. I live in Canberra and went to the game with my wife, who's a Raiders fan, and son, who's a Tigers fan, playing the role of Switzerland. The wife went very quiet. Nico was in control, everyone a strong contributor, loved Tall Tom's efforts. Atkinson did well in his first full game. Loving the pod in all its forms, Sam. Cheers and up, John. Hey, John, I appreciate you. That's awesome. Thanks so much for being in touch. I'm glad you had a good time in Canberra. It's always fun when your home team comes to your town and does a number.
Here it comes. Hydes for the win. Nico Hydes is ice cool. It's Cronulla's night. They've done it again at the death in the Shire.
Chad says, a great win on Sunday. Terrific effort by the boys, considering all they went through during the week. It showed they can band together and get the job done. Our real tests are yet to come, although I don't agree entirely with what most people are saying. I think the test will start this Sunday with the Dragons on Derby Day. Sellout crowd, Dragons under Flano will be up for it, and they'll want to take us down. It'll be a tough, tight game, and if we can win, I think it'll say even more about the character of this team. I want to highlight a few people, not just from the Canberra game, but from this year. Jesse Ramien has been immense for us. He's not really getting the plaudits from the media, so I hope that changes. Our back five have been brilliant. I would not swap them for anyone. Tall Tom Hazelton's my favourite player. Like me, he's a big guy and I think he's really stepped up this year. Finally, Craig Fitzgibbon. Taken 3 years, but finally starting to step out on his own as a coach. He's blended this squad into believers and they are wholeheartedly playing for him. Thanks again for the podcast. See you at Shark Park on Sunday. Cheers, Chad. Yes, you will. And well written, well said. I'm glad the coach is getting some praise. You guys and girls know that I'm a big believer in what he does. But I'm glad the majority of fans are coming around to that. And I know that comes with success. If you're winning and coming first, well, what can you say? You're right, Chad. Jesse Ramien is not spoken about in the media very much at all. He's been terrific. Defense as well as attack. Alf says, love the podcast, never miss an episode. Also enjoy the new Monday morning coffee chat. I feel you and Kieran help us Sharks fans download early after the weekend and in almost real-time basis. That's great for the mental well-being. That's super kind, Alf. Really appreciate you saying that. And the show's doing really good on Monday mornings. Kieran is a good mate of mine. We haven't been mates for years and years and years, but we're tight. We're good friends now over a short period of time, and we have this connection. And I just wanted to sort of put that one out there because a lot of the times he and I would just hang out and talk, and it would almost be an episode, and I'd say silly things like, we should be recording this for an episode, and he'd laugh, and I had it planned for a while but didn't tell him, and then I just sort of said to him, why don't we do this? And it gives us a slightly more fun way of looking at the week. It's not so as intense. Mind you, we've only lost one game in the time that he's been doing the show, so hopefully our schedules and everything else will keep it a regular thing. I'd love it to be a regular thing every Monday to do that, so we do record pretty early to allow for our life to proceed throughout the Monday. But yeah, a lot of people are really enjoying that show and his takes. So thanks for saying that, Alf. Appreciate it. Following on from Flano's Anzac Day match press conference comment on our success since 2016, as much as I appreciate what he did for the club, and which we can all be eternally grateful, more of a comment than a question. How much footy success has Flano achieved since he left the Sharks? Enough said, perhaps. Best wishes, keep up the exceptional work, Alf. Thanks, Alf. That's really kind words, man. I really appreciate it. The Flano thing's interesting. I mean, it's an obvious deflection from losing 60 points on their biggest day of the year. They were embarrassed. They were embarrassing. They capitulated. And I've no doubt they're filthy at themselves this week. But look at that team. It's not very good. We'll talk about that hopefully in a preview episode if we can get to it. It's not a great squad. And the Sharks really should win this week. And we know that. As for Flano, he's a smarter fella than he sometimes projects, and that was very smart to do. Because it took the pressure off his team losing by 60 points. It put the pressure on the Sharks to win this week. They've got nothing to lose. He had that planned. That wasn't on the spot. He had that planned. And I personally have been in his company when he has said projected planned things, and it's erupted. So he's got priors, that's for sure. And I quite like it. I quite like the mind games. It's Derby week. It can't just be all us bagging them, I mean, it can be, and that's a lot of fun too. But as for his work since he left the Sharks, there hasn't been a lot of it. He was assistant coach at Manly. They had an indifferent year. And he's taken over a Dragons team that really stinks. Like, that squad's just not great. I don't think he'll have success for a while, but I do believe he'll turn them around at some point. He's a good coach. He knows what he's doing. There's been improvement. They've won almost as many games already as what they did last year. So as horrendous as they were last week, there is improvement in that team under Shane Flanagan. And I do appreciate what he did for the club. And I stand on a bit of a different island to others. A lot of Sharks fans don't respect him that much. But there is an element that do. And I'm definitely someone that does. So just making that one clear as well. Steve writes to us and says, where do I start? Tell me, is this the same Sharks playing that we previously knew? These guys are invincible. They look focused, sharp. Defense is perfect. Fitzy's done a great job. I can't find anything to complain about with this team. Atkinson did his job, was flawless in defense. Bring on next week. Flanagan, the words you spoke during the week will haunt you, old friend. If getting beat by 60 wasn't bad enough, stay tuned this week. In 2 weeks, we get the Storm in Melbourne. Hopefully a top 2 clash in what will be our best test yet. We are the real deal, and who can stop us? Up. That's from Steve. Steve's pumped up. Appreciate you, Steve. Thank you. Yeah, so if both the Storm and Sharks win this weekend, which I think both will, it will be top of the table against Melbourne, and that'll be epic. Oh my God, that'll be epic. Chris says nothing better than living in Canberra and wearing a Sharks shirt to work on a Monday morning after a 40-0 drubbing. Nothing better. Awesome, Chris. Hope you got out to the game. That sounds like fun, man. I want to say thanks to John, who was in touch. He found a dead link, so to speak, on Spotify, I think it was, hitting the merch app. So if you come across anything like that, always try and get in touch with me and I'll work out what's going on. I haven't worked out what's going on with that. But if you're after merchandise, rugbyleaguemerch.com will find you there. I've checked out that link. That link's fine. It's just the particular link that John is hitting on Spotify, I believe it was, isn't working. So got to work that one out. There's so much to do. But John, you're a legend for being in touch. Roscoe says, great following up from one drubbing to the next. First half was methodical and not rushing to get points on board, but playing for the long haul. Would have been difficult to tally Dally M points with great efforts all over the field, although we do know Nico carved up. Poor old Cam McInnes, is there ever a game where he doesn't bleed? Yeah, he was bleeding nice and early in this one for his try. First try scorer, I noted. He certainly gives us everything he's got, doesn't he? What a great captain. We kind of, well, I'm not going to say we called it over summer. During Christmas, we said Cam McInnes has to be starting lock. Cam McInnes has to be one of the captains. And thank goodness that's happened because it's been a great success. Joanne says, congratulations, Sharkies, up on the 40-0 win. And shout out to Smitty, who also liked a few posts that we did. Brian says, just perfect. Matt says, how's the yellow jersey on the episode of Catch Up with Kieran over coffee about Cronulla. So if you watch the YouTube version of that on Monday morning, the episode, Kieran is wearing a yellow Sharks jersey. Official, authentic Paul Gallen, I believe, backup Paul Gallen jersey. He didn't play in it, but it was the backup jersey. And it's authentic. And it's a unique look is what I'll say. All right, shout out to Reese, lifelong Sharks fan from the Gold Coast, long-time listener. I want to say thanks so much for everything you guys do for the Sharks fans community. I feel like I'm more connected to the club and the rest of the fan base because of your work. That's super nice. Thank you, Reese. I am always hesitant to read this stuff out because it kind of makes me sound a little bit egotistical, but this is what you've written, and I want to acknowledge that and also say thank you. And I guess, give the accolades to the other guys on the show because they all do great work for this show, as well as the listeners. The listeners are the lifeblood as well of the potty. You say, I'm grateful to Dale for his impact on the club. I'm not worried about us going forward. The rest of the spine has gone to another level. I trust they will support King Nico in his mission. Lastly, I want to share my perspective on Shark Park as the rain starts coming down in real time when I mention the word Shark Park, Reese. My wife and I grew up in Queensland, which meant we never got to experience what it's like to watch footy at an older suburban ground. I'd been a few times, but I took my wife to a first game there in 2019. She immediately fell in love with the place and looks forward to going every time we go down. She's a Dragons fan. Don't hold that against her. Well, I don't know, Reese. We're coming down next week to watch our first local derby. That's really exciting. Well, that's made my day knowing you guys are coming down for the derby. Hopefully we get the right result. And hopefully your wife can have a good time even though her team loses. But that's great. That's a great advertisement for the stadium. And we know there's detractors, particularly on this show there's detractors. But a bunch of us on this show also love the place. And I can't wait to be down there. Cannot wait. Comment from YouTube. 12 from 121 says, Kennedy's better than last year. Iro is much better than Talakai defense in the centres. Plus we're beating teams up like Melbourne do. Yeah, I mean, Kennedy's unbelievable. And he's not getting the headlines, and that's fine. That try save on the weekend is one of the best you'll ever see. And that was from him. And that's something he wasn't doing even a year ago. So the improvement there is vast. And I think he's killing it. And I like what you say about beating teams up like Melbourne do. I think we're starting to see that in the last few weeks, obviously. But there was a stage in the Canberra game, a moment in the Canberra game. We were up 12-0, and I think we were looking to press on, marching down the field, and there was an aggression and a ruthlessness to it that I hadn't seen in a Sharks team in a while, and that was super impressive. Scott says it's good to be flying under the radar in the media, then we'll jump up and smash the media favourites. Tim's questioning my internet use. Yeah, sometimes on the YouTube stream we get a bit funky, but we're trying to work stuff out. Appreciate you listening, Tim, and watching. Appreciate you watching. Simon says, great ep. Thank you very much. Finn Wilco says, loving the new YouTube format for the potty. Evan asked a question about Blake Brayley, asking if he started every game. And you said that he was rested in one game. I can tell you he's on the longest streak of consecutive games being played at the moment. He's the guy leading the NRL for most games played in a row currently. I don't have anything else in front of me right now, but he is very durable, Blake Brayley. He's also playing lights out at the moment, which makes it irresistible. But one of the pros about him, one of the positives before he hit the form, was that he was always going to be there, relatively healthy and making all those tackles, good passing from dummy half. The fact that he's showing what he can now, which we've always known about through lower grades and junior grades, is just an absolute bonus, icing on top, and it's great to see. It's important. If he's going well, the Sharks will probably go well too. Thanks, Evan. Original Gangster Michael has been in touch. Long time no chat. What are your thoughts on Tricky in terms of suspension? Do you think the club will cut him? He isn't on Will Kennedy fan level for me, but I've always liked him and thought he had something. Be a shame if it was thrown away by some stupid decisions. Time for him to learn. Definitely time to learn, Michael. And I think as we've sort of heard from the club without any official statement, that they're going to back him to learn from this and move on. He's an important part of the football team. And they'll also tell you that as far as the club goes, they really love his presence there and he's well loved and everything else. But as far as the football team goes, super important. And I think you'll see him off the field for a number of weeks. There's already been some rehab taking place, and I think that will continue, and there'll be some punishments. But he'll be back on the field for the Sharks this year, I'm pretty confident. It could be last chance saloon, or at least second last chance, depending on anything else happening and the severity of what that may be. Hopefully there's nothing else. They weren't happy with him, I can tell you that. Concerned for his well-being, but also pretty annoyed. So it's that balancing act of wanting him to learn and wanting him to change and get better, but also not excusing any of it as well. I think that's where we're at with Trindle. Hopefully he can get back to the form he was in. He was in great form. So, he's hurt himself, he's hurt the club. But I do believe that he'll get another go, and I'm all for it too. I should add, if I have. I think I've already said it in this episode, but I have no problem with him getting a second chance. We are still chasing down the Shark Attack song. I'm confident we'll get it some way, somehow. We played the early 90s Here Come the Sharks song last week, if you didn't hear it. The game is sold out on Sunday. The Toronto Maple Leafs just won in overtime, 2-1 over Boston, which they needed to do, by the way. My gosh, Toronto Maple Leafs. You think your Sharks struggle sometimes? In-form centre Jesse Ramien. You're killing it this year, man. Is there anything different from pre-seasons of the past to this year? Because your form is unbelievable.
Yeah, no, not really, bro. Probably, if I could say anything, I guess I've just found a good consistency sort of on and off the field. I feel like I'm, away from footy. I'm really in a good spot, in my life at the moment. So, it's translating, I guess, to my footy on the field as well.
It was a tough week in Sharkland last week with lots of things going on, but we turned it around on the field, 40-0, amazing win. What pleased you most, aside from keeping them to nil? Like, what did you love about that win from the boys?
Probably the most pleasing thing for me was just the week and how we responded. Obviously, we had a bit going on for us during the week, and to come out and put a performance in like that, especially playing Canberra, who are a great side, and then to play them down there on Anzac Day, in the capital, to show overcome that adversity that we had during the week and go down there and put on a performance like that. I think it shows credit to our group and our staff and and the gaffer.
Tell me about your back five. Doing as many metres, if not more, as the forwards. Is that like an unspoken thing? Is it a planned thing? Does it happen naturally? Because last week, the opening 10 minutes, there was no stops in play. You guys were the forwards essentially.
Yeah, I think we just know our role, and we know what our team needs from us, and I guess that's just the biggest thing, like when we're out there, just knowing our role and executing it, and it's sort of the old saying, you got to give a little to get a little. It's the same sort of thing when we're out there. If we give a bit of energy and doing it tough, and do them tough carries when obviously they're a bit gassed, they'll repay us back.
Fun scoring some tries last week as well.
Yeah, it was. It's always good to get over the line. I was lucky enough to get over right at the end, but I'll take them as they come.
Tell me about what's it like being next to Britt. We saw that try that he set up for, I think it was Katoa that you're involved with the sort of the dummy and then the inside ball. Like, he doesn't get spoken about much, Britt, but he's one of our best, right?
Yeah, 100%. I think Britt's probably been one of our best for a long time now, and it just goes to show the level of the game where he's at. He's obviously probably one of the first picked for for the Kiwis nearly every time, and I think a lot of people don't see as much as we see in terms of his skill. Some of the stuff he does out here training is freakish. Like he's doing that stuff all the time at training. So it's good to see him finally do it in the game and set up a couple tries for us. But I think he's obviously got a bit of it all. He can hit the line, can hit a hard line. He can, we're seeing on the weekend what he can do in terms of, getting the ball early, skipping out, flick pass and whatnot. So, he's a hell of a player, and I'm lucky to have him inside me.
Big week this week, Derby week. Big one for the fans. Does that have any impact on you guys as a team? Do you speak about the fact that it's the Dragons, or is it just another week for you guys?
We obviously speak about the fact that it's the local derby. It's obviously over time it's built a bit of a rivalry. Especially not just with the teams, with the fans as well. We all mark it out in the calendar, and I think no matter where each team's sitting, I guess on the ladder, it's a game that both teams will always turn up for. It's always physical. It's always hard, and sometimes there's big scores in them, but it doesn't necessarily always reflect the game, the quality of the game. So. We're going to have to really prepare well this week. We know they're a good side, and they've got some outstanding players in there. So we'll have to prepare well, and we'll be looking for a big game on Sunday.
All right, Jesse, thanks for your time, and keep up the great form, man.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, mate.
Carney. Was that played at? Fafita's chipped ahead. Try to the Sharks. A miracle win. What about that?
Dan Atkinson, welcome to Sharkcast Pod. How does it feel going from 2, 3, 4 minutes in a game to your starting debut, 80 minutes, killing it down there in Canberra? Was it physically, mentally draining? How was it?
Yeah, it was a bit of both, to be honest. I got tipped up during the week that when I hit the 20-minute mark, I've played more than my 3 NRL games. Yeah. So when I looked up at the 20-minute mark, my lungs were blowing a bit there. But yeah, no, it was everything I thought it'd be: fast, physical, a grind. It was good fun.
Was there much prep for you outside of training when you got home, that kind of thing, playbooks, etc., or was it just your usual routine for the week?
My usual routine, to be honest. Watched a bit of video here and there, but yeah, I got a super casual routine. Go to the beach, have coffee. Kept it simple.
Yep.
Just kept it like a normal game week, and yeah, I think it helped.
How were the nerves before the game?
No,
you looked all right.
There were nerves there, that's for sure. I roomed with Nico when we went to Canberra.
So you went viral, that's right.
Yeah, that's right. Got me with a jump scare straight away. But yeah, he took a lot of the nerves out. He said, "You grew up playing this game, just play, keep doing what you're doing. You're here for a reason."
Yeah, and what's it like having him as your halves partner? Out of all the people in the NRL, one of the most mentally strong athletes we've seen in a long time. Is that what he's like rooming with him?
Having known him in Melbourne and then, playing in the halves with him here, it's funny how footy works. It's a bit of a pinch yourself moment because you're like, he's one of the best halfbacks in the competition, and an even better bloke, to be honest. I just feel like I can tell him anything. He critiques my game, which I need it. I need help where I can. I just feel like he's a really good mate.
On your game, you kept it pretty simple. Do you think the more time you have in that position, the more you'll not so much come out of your shell, but you'll show more than what you did. And don't get me wrong, like, you did enough. But is that going to be your role, or do you think you'll have more in the coming weeks?
Yeah, like, I just kept it simple, did what the team needed from me. I think just focusing on what my strengths are in that each week and focusing on areas I can improve. It'll definitely develop my game each week.
Now, I know you gave Dave Riccio your life story, but just give us a little bit. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up Brizzy, played for Albany Creek Crushers, then I went to high school at St Joseph's Nudgee College, played Union there in the first 15, and then in 2019 I played Melbourne Inga for North Devils. Got picked up by Melbourne for the next 2 years, made my debut against the Sharks in 2021, and then the following year played footy for the Sunshine Coast Falcons and worked as a chippy, and then played in the World Cup for Italy, and then I was fortunate enough to get a call from Fitzy and Moons down here, and haven't looked back ever since, to be honest.
So played for Italy while you were in Queensland Cup?
Yeah, at the end of the season.
How was that?
No, it was good fun. It was a real good group. Trip to England with most of the boys I haven't met before, but we formed a close-knit group, and I enjoyed every bit of it.
Before we let you go, I need to ask you about two things that we always ask Sharks players. This one, I'll give you a get-out clause because of your age, but do you remember where you were October 2, 2016 when the Sharks won the grand final?
Yeah, I was actually watching it from home.
Who were you going for?
Sharks, because I actually did a Sharks junior camp that year.
Hey.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Funny enough.
And tell me about your favourite music. Like, what music do you like? Band, artist, genre, whatever.
That's easy. Country.
Yeah, let's go.
Luke Combs.
Yeah. What else?
Oh, anything. My genre could change. It goes country, rap, acoustic, whatever. I don't know what's coming up next.
What's your favourite Luke Combs song?
Better Together. Yeah, I reckon that's unreal.
Nice. Good luck this week.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sharkies! Sharkies!
Fafita tries to crash his way over, he does! Fafita got the ball over the line!
And to all you people back in the Shire, turn your porch lights off because we're coming home with a trophy.